There is a strange paradox about intelligence. The more deeply you understand the world, the more alone you often feel. Many people assume loneliness is caused by isolation, by having no friends, no partner, no social life. But some of the loneliest people in the world are surrounded by others. They go to work. They have families. They attend parties. They smile. They laugh. And yet, they feel profoundly alone. Ancient Stoic philosophers understood something that modern neuroscience is only beginning to explain. Awareness changes the way we experience reality. The more conscious we become, the more we begin to notice contradictions. We see the masks people wear. We see how fragile life really is. We become aware of our mortality. We recognize how much of human behavior is driven by fear, insecurity, and unconscious desires. And once you see these things, it becomes difficult to unsee them. You begin to feel different, separate, as if there is an invisible wall between yourself and everyone else. But perhaps this loneliness is not a punishment. Perhaps it is an invitation to develop wisdom, to understand yourself, and to build a deeper relationship with life itself. In this video, we will explore why intelligent and self-aware people often feel lonely, through the lenses of Stoic philosophy, modern neuroscience, and existential psychology. And most importantly, we will discover how loneliness can become a source of strength rather than suffering. This is Stoic psychology. Most people believe that loneliness begins when we are physically separated from others. They imagine an empty apartment, no phone calls, no close relationships, no one to talk to. But psychology tells us something very different. Loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the absence of understanding. A person can sit alone on a mountain and feel deeply connected to existence. Another person can stand in a crowded room and feel completely invisible. Why? Because the human brain is not merely searching for company. It is searching for resonance. It is searching for minds that understand what we see, what we feel, and who we are. And this is where awareness becomes both a gift and a burden. Modern neuroscience has shown that human beings are profoundly social creatures. Our brains evolved in small tribes. For hundreds of thousands of years, survival depended on belonging. To be excluded from the group was dangerous. Sometimes it meant death. Because of this, the brain developed neural systems specifically designed to monitor social connection. Researchers have found that social rejection activates some of the same neural pathways involved in physical pain. In a very real sense, loneliness hurts. But there is another finding that receives far less attention. The more self-aware a person becomes, the more difficult genuine connection often becomes. Why? Because awareness changes perception. Most social interactions operate on autopilot. People discuss routines, entertainment, daily problems, weather, work, small ambitions. These conversations are not wrong. They simply remain near the surface. A highly reflective person often lives somewhere else psychologically. Their mind asks different questions. Why do people behave the way they do? Why are we here? Why do we repeat destructive patterns? Why do relationships fail? Why does suffering exist? Why are we afraid of death? Their attention naturally moves toward deeper levels of reality. And eventually, they discover something unsettling. Not everyone wants to go there. Some people avoid deep questions because they are busy. Others avoid them because they are painful. Some avoid them because uncertainty creates anxiety. And some simply never develop the habit of examining life. The result is that highly self-aware individuals often feel as if they are speaking a different language. They long for conversations that rarely happen. They seek authenticity in environments built on performance. They seek truth in places designed for distraction. Over time, this creates psychological distance, not physical distance, inner distance. Carl Jung observed that increasing consciousness often leads to temporary isolation, because becoming conscious means seeing things that others may not yet see. It means recognizing contradictions, recognizing self-deception, recognizing the masks that people wear. This can feel profoundly lonely, because once awareness expands, it rarely contracts again. Modern neuroscience offers another explanation. The human brain possesses what researchers call the default mode network. This network becomes highly active during introspection, when we think about ourselves, our future, our memories, our relationships. This network is engaged. Highly reflective people often spend significant amounts of time in this mode. They analyze experiences. They replay conversations. They think about possibilities. They search for meaning. This ability produces insight, creativity, self-knowledge, wisdom, but it also carries risks. Excessive self-reflection can lead to rumination, overthinking, social exhaustion, and feelings of disconnection. The mind becomes so occupied with understanding life that it struggles to simply participate in it. The Stoics understood this problem long before neuroscience existed. Marcus Aurelius constantly reflected upon the human condition. He contemplated mortality, human weakness, impermanence, the fleeting nature of fame, the inevitability of suffering, and yet, he repeatedly reminded himself not to become alienated from humanity. He wrote, "We were born to work together." This sentence is remarkably simple, yet psychologically profound, because awareness should not become an excuse for superiority. It should become an invitation to compassion. Many intelligent people unconsciously fall into a trap. They begin to believe, "No one understands me. No one thinks deeply. No one sees what I see." Sometimes this feeling is partially true, but it also creates arrogance, and arrogance deepens loneliness. The Stoics warned against this. Every person struggles with invisible battles. Every person suffers. Every person experiences fear. Every person seeks meaning. The differences between us may be smaller than they appear. The psychologist Irvin Yalom noted that beneath our individual personalities lie universal existential concerns. We all fear death. We all struggle with isolation. We all seek meaning. We all wrestle with uncertainty. Recognizing these shared realities creates connection, because loneliness often dissolves when we realize something beautiful. The human condition is shared. Our suffering is shared. Our confusion is shared. Our mortality is shared. Awareness therefore creates a paradox. It can separate us from superficial relationships, but it can also connect us more deeply to humanity itself. The question is not whether awareness creates loneliness. It often does. The real question is what we do with this loneliness. Do we allow it to become bitterness? Do we isolate ourselves completely? Do we begin despising people who appear less reflective? Or do we use solitude as a pathway toward wisdom, toward compassion, toward understanding ourselves and others more deeply? Because loneliness itself is not the enemy. In many cases, it is simply the price of becoming conscious. And perhaps, the first step toward becoming truly human. As the philosopher Blaise Pascal once observed, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Maybe loneliness is not merely emptiness. Maybe it is an invitation to encounter ourselves, to understand our minds, and to discover that awareness, although sometimes painful, can ultimately become the source of our deepest wisdom. Have you ever left a conversation feeling strangely empty? Not because people were unkind, not because anyone rejected you, but because something essential was missing. You spoke, you listened, you smiled, and yet, you felt completely unseen. Many deep thinkers experience this feeling repeatedly throughout their lives. They often grow up believing that something is wrong with them. Why do others seem satisfied with superficial conversations? Why do they seem content discussing the same things over and over again? Why do they appear comfortable accepting simple answers to difficult questions? The deep thinker often feels like an outsider, not because they intentionally isolate themselves, but because their mind naturally moves in a different direction. Modern psychology suggests that human beings differ significantly in what psychologists call openness to experience. Some people prefer certainty, routine, familiarity, predictability. Others possess a strong drive toward complexity and exploration. They seek ideas, patterns, meaning, novel perspectives. These individuals tend to ask questions that do not have simple answers. Why are people afraid of being alone? Why do relationships become destructive? Why does success often fail to produce happiness? What makes a life meaningful? Why does suffering exist? The problem is that these questions often disrupt social comfort. They introduce uncertainty, and uncertainty makes many people uncomfortable. The human brain prefers predictability. Neuroscientists have repeatedly found that uncertainty activates regions associated with stress and threat detection. The unknown demands energy. The unknown requires adaptation. The unknown reminds us of our vulnerability. This is one reason many conversations remain on the surface. Surface conversations feel safe. They require little emotional risk, little introspection, little vulnerability. Deep conversations are different. They demand honesty. They demand uncertainty. They often require us to confront aspects of ourselves that we would rather avoid. And so many people unconsciously avoid them. The deep thinker notices this again and again, and eventually, loneliness appears. But something else happens as well. The deep thinker often begins to feel misunderstood. This feeling can become painful, because human beings have an innate need to feel recognized. We want others to understand who we are, to understand our fears, our hopes, our thoughts, our inner life. When this need is repeatedly unmet, the mind can arrive at dangerous conclusions. No one understands me. I don't belong anywhere. I will always be alone. These thoughts are understandable, but they are not entirely true. The Stoics would remind us that much of our suffering comes not from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Being different does not automatically mean being disconnected. Being reflective does not automatically mean being isolated. And being misunderstood by some people does not mean you are unknowable. The problem often lies elsewhere. Deep thinkers frequently expect a level of understanding from everyone that only a few people can provide. They hope that every friendship will become profound, every conversation meaningful, every relationship deeply authentic. Reality rarely works this way. Most relationships exist on different levels. Some people are companions. Some are colleagues. Some share activities. A few share your inner world. Wisdom lies in recognizing these differences. Epictetus taught that suffering often arises when our expectations conflict with reality. We expect people to be what they are not. We expect certainty where uncertainty exists. We expect universal understanding. And then we suffer when reality refuses to cooperate. The deep thinker must learn a difficult lesson. Not everyone can accompany you to the same psychological depth. And that is perfectly normal. Some people enter your life to share joy. Some teach practical lessons. Some provide support. And a few rare individuals understand the questions that keep you awake at night. Perhaps only one. Perhaps none for long periods of time. But this does not make your inner world less valuable. Carl Jung spent much of his life feeling misunderstood. Friedrich Nietzsche lived in profound isolation. Blaise Pascal described the terrifying silence of the universe. Marcus Aurelius carried the burden of an empire while privately wrestling with mortality and meaning. History is filled with thoughtful individuals who experience loneliness, not because they were defective, but because awareness often creates psychological distance. Yet there is another side to this story. The same awareness that creates loneliness can also produce extraordinary empathy, because those who suffer from feeling misunderstood often become exceptionally sensitive to the suffering of others. They recognize sadness. They notice anxiety. They perceive loneliness hidden behind smiles. Their own pain becomes a source of understanding. Modern neuroscience suggests that reflection and perspective-taking involve overlapping brain systems. The ability to examine our own inner world often enhances our ability to imagine the inner worlds of others. In other words, your loneliness may become the very thing that allows you to deeply connect with another human being. This is why suffering sometimes produces wisdom, because pain expands our capacity for understanding. The Stoics repeatedly emphasized our shared humanity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning that he would meet difficult, selfish, and irrational people. Yet he also insisted that all human beings are fundamentally connected. Why? Because we all participate in the same human condition. We all struggle. We all fear. We all suffer. We all lose people we love. We all face uncertainty. We all move toward death. These realities unite us more deeply than our differences divide us. Perhaps being misunderstood is not evidence that you are separate from humanity. Perhaps it is simply evidence that every human being is carrying an invisible world inside themselves. No person can fully understand another. Not completely. Not perfectly. Even our closest relationships contain mystery. Even the people who love us cannot entirely enter our minds. The desire to be completely understood is therefore impossible. And impossible expectations inevitably produce suffering. But partial understanding, moments of genuine connection, brief encounters of honesty and vulnerability, these are possible, and they are often enough. The deep thinker eventually learns something beautiful. The goal is not to find millions of people who understand you. The goal is to become comfortable with your own inner world and remain open to the rare souls who recognize parts of it. Loneliness then begins to change. It becomes less frightening, less painful, less personal, because you realize something important. Being misunderstood by many people does not diminish your humanity. It simply means that depth is rare, and rare things often take time to find. As Carl Jung once observed, loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. And perhaps the task of a deep thinker is not to eliminate loneliness entirely, but to transform it into wisdom, patience, compassion, and a deeper appreciation for the rare moments when another human being truly sees you. One of the greatest misconceptions of modern life is the belief that being alone automatically means being lonely. The two are not the same. You can be surrounded by people and still feel abandoned. You can spend an entire evening at a crowded gathering and leave feeling emotionally empty. And you can also sit completely alone, watching the sunset, hearing nothing but the wind, and experience a profound sense of peace. Loneliness and solitude are different experiences. Loneliness is the painful feeling that something essential is missing. Solitude is the experience of being present with yourself. The Stoics understood this distinction deeply. In fact, many Stoic practices required deliberate periods of solitude, not because they hated people, not because they wished to escape society, but because they believed that a person who cannot be alone cannot truly be free. Modern life trains us to fear silence. Every empty moment is quickly filled. A notification, a message, a video, music, news, entertainment. The moment discomfort appears, we distract ourselves. Yet modern neuroscience suggests that periods of quiet reflection are essential for psychological well-being. During moments of rest and introspection, the brain integrates experiences. It processes emotions. It organizes memories. It creates insight. Without these moments, our minds become crowded, noisy, fragmented. Many people are not actually afraid of being alone. They are afraid of what they may encounter when they finally stop distracting themselves. Because silence has a strange quality. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Then memories appear. Regrets, questions, unfinished grief, old fears, longings we have ignored. Eventually we come face to face with ourselves. And this meeting can be terrifying. Blaise Pascal once wrote, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." This statement may sound exaggerated, but perhaps it contains profound wisdom. Because many forms of suffering arise from our inability to tolerate ourselves. We constantly seek escape. We seek distraction from anxiety, distraction from loneliness, distraction from uncertainty, distraction from mortality. The Stoics propose something radical. Instead of running from ourselves, we should become friends with ourselves. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly retreated inward. Although he ruled an empire, commanded armies, and carried enormous responsibilities, he reminded himself that true refuge was always available. He wrote, "People seek retreats for themselves, but nowhere can a man find a retreat more full of peace than in his own soul." Think about this idea. What if peace is not found somewhere else? What if peace is not waiting in another city, another relationship, another achievement, another version of ourselves? What if peace becomes available the moment we learn to be present with ourselves? This is difficult, because many of us have spent years avoiding our inner world. The psychologist Carl Jung believed that modern individuals often remain strangers to themselves. We know our routines, our responsibilities, our social roles, but we know very little about our deeper motivations, our fears, our unconscious desires, our contradictions. Solitude creates the possibility of self-knowledge. And self-knowledge creates freedom, because when we understand ourselves, we become less dependent on external validation. This is one of the greatest lessons of Stoicism. The Stoics did not reject relationships. They deeply valued friendship and community, but they refused to make their inner peace entirely dependent upon external circumstances. This is an important distinction, because if your well-being depends completely on the presence of others, then your peace remains fragile. People leave. Relationships change. Friends move away. Loved ones die. Circumstances shift. The Stoics knew this, and because they knew it, they developed an inner foundation. Epictetus taught that freedom begins when we distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. Other people are not fully within our control. Their opinions are not. Their choices are not. Their affection is not. But our character, our actions, our thoughts, our ability to sit peacefully with ourselves, these remain available. Many people spend their lives desperately seeking acceptance because they secretly believe they are incomplete when alone. But solitude teaches another lesson. It reveals that our relationship with ourselves is the most important relationship we will ever have. You will accompany yourself through every success, every disappointment, every loss, every triumph, every heartbreak, every uncertainty. You are the one person who never leaves your side. Is it not therefore strange that we often invest so little effort into understanding ourselves? The philosopher Seneca deliberately practiced solitude. He regularly withdrew from comfort and social activity. He believed that periods of voluntary simplicity and aloneness strengthened the mind. They reduced dependence. They built resilience. They cultivated gratitude. Modern psychology increasingly agrees. Studies suggest that the capacity to enjoy solitude is associated with emotional maturity, creativity, self-regulation, and psychological well-being. Why? Because solitude allows us to reconnect with something that modern life constantly fragments: our attention. When we sit quietly, without stimulation, our minds slowly settle. Our thoughts become clearer. Our emotions become visible. Our priorities begin to reorganize. Questions emerge. What truly matters to me? Why do I keep repeating certain patterns? What am I avoiding? What kind of person do I wish to become? These questions rarely emerge in constant distraction. They arise in silence. And perhaps this explains why solitude has always been associated with wisdom. Prophets entered deserts. Philosophers retreated into nature. Monks sought monasteries. Writers isolated themselves. Scientists walked alone. Periods of solitude often precede transformation, because transformation requires reflection, and reflection requires space. The deep thinker gradually discovers something remarkable. Being alone no longer feels like punishment. It becomes nourishment. Moments of solitude become opportunities to think, to create, to read, to observe, to pray, to journal, to simply exist. And slowly, a strange thing happens. The fear of loneliness begins to weaken, because you realize something profound. You are not truly alone. You are in the company of your own consciousness. And if you learn to understand that consciousness, to accept it, to guide it, then solitude becomes one of life's greatest teachers. The Stoics did not seek isolation. They sought inner independence. They sought the ability to remain peaceful regardless of circumstances, because the person who can sit quietly with themselves, without panic, without constant distraction, without needing immediate validation, possesses a kind of freedom that cannot easily be taken away. Perhaps this is why Marcus Aurelius repeatedly returned to his own thoughts. He understood something we often forget. The quality of our life depends largely upon the quality of our inner world. And perhaps loneliness is not always a signal that something is missing. Perhaps sometimes it is an invitation to return to ourselves, to become our own friend, to develop wisdom, and to discover that peace. The peace we seek everywhere else may have been quietly waiting within us all along. There is perhaps no fear greater than death, and yet there is another fear that silently controls millions of lives: the fear of being alone with ourselves. Modern life gives us endless opportunities to avoid ourselves. We wake up and reach for our phones. We listen to podcasts while walking. We play videos while eating. We scroll before sleeping. Silence has become uncomfortable. Stillness has become frightening. Because when external noise disappears, something else appears. Our thoughts, our regrets, our fears, our unanswered questions. Blaise Pascal observed this centuries ago. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. At first, this statement sounds exaggerated, but modern psychology has repeatedly confirmed its wisdom. Researchers at the University of Virginia conducted an unusual experiment. Participants were asked to sit alone with their thoughts for a short period of time. No phones, no books, no music, nothing to distract them. Many participants found the experience deeply unpleasant. Some even preferred giving themselves mild electric shocks rather than sitting quietly with their thoughts. Think about that. For some people, physical discomfort was preferable to self-confrontation. The Stoics would not have been surprised. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly withdrew into solitude, not to escape life, but to examine his own mind. He wrote, "People seek retreats for themselves, but nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." The Stoics understood something extraordinary. If you cannot be at peace with yourself, no external circumstance will ever satisfy you. A new relationship cannot solve it. More money cannot solve it. Another vacation cannot solve it. Because wherever you go, you take yourself with you. The modern world often teaches us to escape discomfort immediately. Distract yourself. Feeling lonely? Open social media. Feeling uncertain? Consume more information. But every act of constant distraction has a hidden cost. We never learn to understand ourselves. Carl Jung warned, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. And perhaps nowhere is this more visible than today. We know what celebrities are doing. We know what politicians are saying. We know what strangers ate for breakfast. Yet many people cannot answer simple questions about themselves. What do I truly value? What am I avoiding? What kind of person do I want to become? What am I afraid to admit? These questions cannot be answered through distraction. They can only be answered in silence. This is why solitude has always been essential in philosophy and psychology. The purpose of solitude is not isolation. The purpose is self-knowledge, and self-knowledge requires courage. Because eventually, in silence, we encounter uncomfortable truths. Perhaps we have built our lives around other people's expectations. Perhaps we are chasing goals that do not truly matter to us. Perhaps we are exhausted because we have been pretending for years. These realizations are painful, but they are also liberating. Because you cannot change a life you refuse to examine. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. But before we can become someone, we must first see ourselves clearly. And clarity requires moments of deliberate silence. The irony is that the thing we fear may be the thing we need most. A few moments alone. No distractions. No entertainment. Just ourselves. Because sometimes the answers we are seeking are not hidden somewhere in the world. They have been quietly waiting inside us all along. Strange paradoxes exist in other natures. We spend years preparing for life, and have virtually no time to prepare for death. We learn how to make money, how to build a foundation, how to gain status, how to look successful, but they really teach how to cope with uncertainty, how to endure suffering, or how to live with the knowledge that one day everything will end. The Stoics generally accept this as the highest education necessary for every person. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You can leave this life right now. Let that determine your actions, words, and thoughts." This sentence is not pessimistic. It gives a feeling of freedom. We suddenly become able to see what truly matters. Modern neuroscience has come to a surprising conclusion. Research shows that when people acknowledge their mortality, their priorities shift. They seek deeper relationships, more meaningful experiences, longer-term goals. The awareness of death can either terrify us or awaken us. The difference lies in how we respond. In conclusion, let's consider a practical framework. This is not a philosophy to be admired, but it is a philosophy to live by. Step 1. Become mindful of mortality. Every morning, ask yourself, if today were my last day, what would really matter? Would I still be worried about this argument, this criticism, that social media post? Most of our worries disappear with awareness of mortality. Step 2. Identify your values. Psychologists who study the meaning of life consistently find that people suffer most when they live contrary to their deepest values. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? What virtues do I value? Wisdom? Courage? Compassion? Really? Your values become your compass. Step 3. Create a meaningful project. Ernest Becker believed that humans need what he called symbolic immortality. We need to engage in something that transcends our legitimate interests. Raise children. Create art. Teach. Write. Make something. Serve others. Do something that leaves the world even a little better than you found it. Step 4. Embrace uncertainty. This is perhaps the most difficult lesson of all. No one knows whether life has a higher cosmic meaning. No one knows whether their efforts will be remembered. No one knows what happens after death. And yet, we must continue to live. We must continue to love. Keep creating. There is still hope. The courage to act despite uncertainty is perhaps the highest manifestation of wisdom. The Stoics never promised a life without fear. Existential psychologists never expected perfect answers. Modern neuroscience never promised that anxiety could disappear completely. But all three traditions point to the same core. Fear becomes destructive only when it remains unconscious. When we become aware of our fear, when we directly consider mortality, when we consciously choose our values, and dedicate ourselves to something greater than spacious comfort, fear begins to transform. Death becomes a teacher. Uncertainty becomes an invitation. Meaning becomes caring. Perhaps this is what it means to live wisely. Don't conquer death, not to eradicate fear, but to live so sincerely, so consciously, and so boldly, that when the end finally comes, one can say, I was here, I liked it, I created, I contributed, and I truly lived. This is the Stoic path. This is the psychological path. This is the human path. Live meaningfully. Live boldly. Every person bears the same burden. We know our time is limited. We know that suffering is inevitable. However, this knowledge should not imprison us. It can awaken us. Because mortality gives love a special urgency. Meaning gives suffering direction. And living consciously transforms fear into courage. There is no need to wait for life to reveal its meaning. You find meaning in life by how you live today. Remember that you will die. And therefore, choose to live authentically. This is Stoic psychology. Until next time.